Hello, and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human Gina. Thank you for returning if you've been here before, and if you're new, welcome. I wasn't sure I would be recording again so soon because I never think I'm going to have anything to talk about. It's so funny how this is working. My concern when I started this was, well, what am I going to talk about every time I get on that microphone? And I just decided early on to just let whatever comes out be what I talk about. And I did that for a while. And then lately, though, I've been reporting on what's happening real time a lot of times. So this is going to be another one of those broadcasts because I've been in a very strange energy, and I've become really contemplative again. This reminds me back, over a year ago, actually a year and a half ago at this point, where I was in a very contemplative phase because I was going through so much. It was the beginning of the healing from my divorce, from the relationship with my ex husband. And then it became so much more, which I did talk about in the last podcast. And it's interesting how many things are being revisited. Not in the same way though, like in a completely different light. I talked about last time how I'm experiencing a lot of old thought patterns, or I think I referred to it as like residual thoughts or patterns of thoughts, one of which um, almost caused me to sell my vehicle, and another which had me looking for a job, not frantically, but definitely not from a calm, centered energy. And I identified these thought patterns as old demons, and how I characterized the experience of what I was going through as these this old way of thinking, this reactive way of thinking coming up into my awareness as fragments of the old three-dimensional energy that are being cleared out of my body by this spiritual cleansing that was foretold months ago. And I talked about how I coined a phrase, don't look the demons in the eye, because I couldn't identify with these old feelings or fears, reactive feelings or thoughts, because they were no longer rooted in my reality. So even if I did go down that dark road with which I did to some degree, I it's easy to see where I am and kind of look up and look around and say, no, I'm not heading in a direction that feels right. And it feels almost like my body is not supportive of that anyway. So it's like I like an old car. When it rains, the water sticks, but when you wax that car, the water runs off. So that may be an odd characterization about how I feel about this, but that's pretty pretty good one, I think. That like water off a duck's back, it just doesn't stick. I have this resiliency built in now that doesn't really allow me to go dark. Although I think I am meant to some degree. And this is kind of what brought me to the microphone today is, it's been um, more than a month that I've been in this really odd energy, this cleansing. And I believe with my limited ability to understand, you know, except for conceptually what's happening, I believe I'm at the tail end of this big energetic cleansing because I'm in a lethargic stage. And this is so funny. Well, not funny. It's interesting that about 8 days ago, I'm not sure when I did my last recording, but about 8 days ago, after all the major stuff was over, the nightmares, the violent heat, the confusion, the old thought patterns, the demons revisiting and all that. Once that series of things ended, and I was felt like I was in a more normal state of energy, I actually almost immediately became went into what I guess I can characterize as a lethargy or a lethargic stage. And I think to some degree this was talked about or mentioned as a symptom of this, which is exhaustion. Exhaustion is one thing, lethargy is another. And to me, they're differentiated by like exhaustion is like a physical feeling where you might want to go do something, but your body just doesn't want to, or you have to rest or sleep. This is very different. This is lethargy. Lethargy to me is my mind is still is active, but I'm sorry. Yeah, this is still the energy I'm in. Coherent thoughts are few and far between in this energy, and I always hesitate recording when I'm feeling kind of odd. But I think this is the whole point. If I'm just reporting out the benefits and or the good outcomes, then I'm really not being honest to this process. And I've never gone through anything like this before. So I'm thinking of myself kind of as an explorer, where some days I find a meadow and a stream and fresh berries, and other days I'm on a side of a mountain, not sure how far I have to climb. And I think I'm in that mountain climbing energy right now because I have no idea what's coming next. And if I'm going to be honest and really honor what's happening, I have to report out everything. So, this confusion or this inability to concentrate is definitely still with me. And it does mess with me because it takes a coherent thought and it can skew it, almost like looking through a dirty glass, a dirty window, or a fisheye lens where things aren't exactly what they seem. And I have to kind of understand that when I'm having these odd thoughts or these odd sensations in my body, which are still continuing to a much lesser degree, though. And I almost, I thought about this a couple days ago, but I said, no, it's not worthy of a podcast. It's just, these are just incidental sensations. They're nothing really that interesting or important. But then this morning, I woke up feeling differently because I had a dream this morning. Well, let me go back to what I was saying before, so I don't forget my thought. I was after the major symptoms were over, and I think I talked about this in the last podcast. I was just in a different, like a more calm phase, although I still didn't know what to expect. Well, a few days later, I woke up exhausted, and I sat up to get out of bed, and I felt like, and immediately this came to my mind. I felt like somebody had poured wet cement in my body while I slept. I couldn't even sit all the way up. I was on an elbow on my bed thinking, okay, what is this now? What is this? What are we going to experience now? And I just thank the Lord or the universe or whomever that I have this time and space as a retired person to do whatever the hell I want, to sleep when I want, to do absolutely what I want. And I don't want to forget how fortunate I am to be in this incredible time, however long it lasts, to be able to go through this without the demands of human life. I mean, except for taking care of myself, food, exercise, and rest. I really can cut everything else out. Now, of course, there are things that I want to do that I do, but even when I do those things, I feel very lethargic. And going out in public is really odd because, I used to feel like an anxiety, but now it's different. I just have this really incredible awareness of myself. And I know that sounds odd. And I thought about this for a moment before I recorded because, one thing I've learned with these recordings is if I try too hard to really come to a conclusion about how I feel, it doesn't come across, or uh, it ends up sounding incoherent. So I have to, really trust myself that this process of just speaking, this free thought, platform is really the best way for me to do this because I'm really figuring it out as I'm speaking about it. And that is the most genuine way I can do this. Otherwise, it's so funny. Control comes in. We want to control how we are perceived. So we want to come to our conclusion. We want to have our ducks in a row. We want to have our data, outlined so we can feel good about what we're saying. And I think this is a really good, uh, little microcosm of our lives. And this is really what brought me to the microphone today is the word freedom, is because I consider myself a free person. I characterize myself as a white Frisian running free. And that is so true to some degree. I mean, if we're freed from our physical lives, from the commitments in our lives that we don't care about, which I've been able to do completely 100%, we feel free. This freedom, it's amazing. But what we don't, I think about, or maybe are not able to think about when we are in an unaware energy, or we are still kind of stuck in our three-dimensional mindsets or thought patterns, is freedom is something entirely different. And this is really what got me thinking, and it got me contemplating this a lot more. Is I woke up this morning after having another dream about my ex-husband, the the emotional vampire ex-husband. And it was an odd, very personal dream. And I've had these occasionally, and I've always, when I've awakened, I've always said, "Well, don't worry, G. This is going to go away. You're going to get, this is all going to pass. You're going through something. You're going to get to the other side." And I kept kind of like encouraging myself to get through it. And I found myself doing this with everything. I mean, everything. So I would be saying, "Okay, you're going to feel better. You're going to sleep better. You're not going to, have these hot flashes. You're going to, all of this is going to end. You're going through this, keep your head down." And I woke up this morning, and I, of course, after lying there for about 20 minutes, which is what I try to do every morning, because this is when, and I was told this by my spirit team, if I can just linger in bed in that twilight phase, I will have revelations. This is when what I am given when I sleep, and these downloads, or these blasts of information that come energetically into my body. If I awaken in this and allow this twilight phase, kind of like when you go to sleep, I will be these things will come into my awareness, and I will be able to grasp them with my mind. So I really have taken this process to heart. And unless I have somewhere to be in the morning, which is absolutely rarely, I linger in bed for 20, 30 minutes after I'm awake. And I just allow myself to ruminate or marinate in whatever the evening, while I was asleep, brought to me. And I woke this morning after having a morning dream about my ex-husband. So, when you have a dream in the morning, they're always more memorable. So it wasn't vivid or anything like that, but it wasn't memorable. And I thought to myself, there's another one. And as I laid there, and instead of going into my normal, you know, uh, discussion with myself, that normal battle of the brain, where I had to talk myself into being patient, because I've talked about patience a lot lately. You have to be patient, Gina. You're going through something completely unreal. Patience, patience, patience. And that there's a lot of virtue to that. And it's helped me through this immensely. But what I think now I realize is that patience is a wonderful thing, but in this different energy, in this new energy, and I describe this as this new foundation, this cathedral that is my new energy, which is this alien steel, or this intuitive or cosmic energy that now that I'm embodied, that's embodied within me, is so different, and it allows me to, when I do contemplate, I can't even describe this, and I haven't tried yet, so forgive me. This is the first time I'm verbalizing this. Is I'm able to trust that even though what I'm feeling is uncomfortable, or distracting, or even disturbing, let's like I'm having a dream about my ex-husband, and I'm thinking, anybody who's been through anything similar to what I have with an ex, and a year and a half later are having personal dreams with them, it's concerning. It's like, well, what is this about? And I started to feel that way, and then I realized, like in a moment, like, wait a minute, what if I'm supposed to feel this? What if I'm supposed to allow this? So instead of telling myself all the time, Gina, you are going to get through this, and really having to be a cheerleader for myself, and an advocate for getting through this, and like a trainer in a gym, only 5 more reps and you did it, that kind of thing, which is I've kind of been my own coach through this. I'm starting to realize that it's not just about getting through it, it's about really feeling what's happening. And again, as an empathetic person, part of my purpose here on earth is to feel. And of course, that's all of our purpose, but to some degree, with people who are empathetic or overly empathetic, we are meant to feel more. And that feeling, or that processing of feelings or sensations or energies, frequencies around us, is part of what we're here to do. So instead of superficially engaging with people, I have an energetic understanding of them. It just comes. It's not something that I try. So let's say somebody is telepathic, and when they walk up to people, they read their minds and they can't help it. It's like white noise. So where you and I might hear just background noise, they hear people's thoughts. So they don't intend to. It just is part of their energetic dynamic, one of their gifts, and their responsibility as a human being, being aware of their gifts, is to learn to manage or to hone or to leverage those gifts so they don't become a nuisance to living. And as an empathetic person, it's true with me too. Is I have to be careful not to allow others' energy to intertwine with mine. And I've talked about this a lot because as an open person, all the good stuff comes in, but so does the bad stuff. And I have to be able to discern that. I have to be, the sentry at my own threshold, and make sure that I only allow into my energy the things that benefit me, or at least allow me to be who I am without worry of being lost in someone else's energy. And with my last ex-husband of 25 years, that's exactly what happened. I mean, to the point where I had no idea who I was anymore. And I wasn't aware of any of this. I was in a time of unawareness. I was a version of myself who did not know, and that was meant to be. That's who I was meant to be at that time. So I could gather all this data, have this awakening, and then now I can process things with my eyes open. I can do it wide awake. I don't have to worry that I'm thinking or feeling something that might damage me if I allow it to be. So this is what I'm talking about. Freedom. If I'm spending my entire life avoiding how I'm feeling, even in this new energy where I'm telling myself, be patient, get through it, I'm missing what's happening. Or I shouldn't say missing. I'm I'm um I'm reducing the value of what it is. I'm not valuing what's happening to me, through me. And I think it's not a mistake, because you got to be careful with that word. There are no mistakes. Everything that we're doing, and this is something I can only speak of course, from my own experience, is what we're meant to do. So when I go through these contemplative phases where I question my own intentions, my own motivations, my own agenda, I'm meant to go through this. If I don't go through it, I don't get to look back at it. And this is funny. I was thinking of analogies for this. Like, if I don't accept the gift, I can't return it. If I don't accept this energy in my body, I can't process it and then turn it into understanding or wisdom. So when I'm telling myself over and over that you'll get through this, yes, there's some validity to that, especially when it's desperate, when I'm feeling these incredibly disruptive physical feelings, like the hot flashes and the weird stuff, the sensations of energy. I mean, I can't even tell you, and I don't know how much of this I actually reported on, but it's all in my book that I'm writing. But driving on the freeway where I hit 50 miles an hour and I feel like my head is floating on my body and I have no control and I have to literally pull off the freeway. I mean, those are the kind of things I want to get through. But I also want to understand them to the best of my ability. And I think the word understand probably is not appropriate. I want to accept them as part of what I'm going through. And if I accept it, then I allow it to be. And if I allow it to be, I'm living in the moment. This is what true presence is. And I didn't understand this before. True presence for me, from my understanding, is really allowing what's going on inside of me to go on inside of me without judging it, or more importantly, without the need to control it. And I've really, for a very long time, wanted to do a podcast about outcomes, but it never really was attached to anything that I felt compelled to talk about. So it was just kind of an ancillary, or an accent, thing that I wanted to include on maybe something else. But I realized that this is all coming together as kind of that thing. It's letting go of outcomes is one thing, and I wanted to talk about that because one of the things I've learned going through all of this is that if I am attached to an outcome, and a good example is this soulmate, this blessed soulmate that I've been learning about, hearing about for more than a year now, that this person's going to come into my life. And of course, if I know something's going to happen, I'm thinking about it. I am imagining it. I went through that whole Imagination Factor podcast about how I used his image to imagine a life with him. And yes, of course, that's all important. Imagination allows us to put ourselves energetically in a position that we desire, and it's so important in manifesting. So I did all that. I went through all that, and then I got to the point where I realized that, and this was funny. This was one of the last readings that I got, was um, about the state of affairs between me and this future soulmate. And the last card that came up was about how I was this new person meant to explore my life. And if I wait around for this soulmate, it's probably not the best idea because, it's not time yet. And I could if I wanted, but, why do that? Just go on with your life. And I was doing that to some degree, but it was always in my mind. Okay, is it going to happen today? Is it going to happen today? And I think anyone, no matter how aware you are or unaware, would have that same experience. So I beat myself up about it, and I'm thinking, well, don't think about it and don't worry. And of course, those are all valid things. But this is a part of who I am now. This knowing of this future person is in my body. So avoiding and ignoring that is really another way to try to control an outcome. And it's funny how this is such a finite concept. And unless you really experience, I think it's impossible to describe. Because I could have never, I'm really good at things. I get really broad concepts, but not always really good with the detail. And this has been explained to me when I was a trainer in a corporate environment. I'm really great. I can get you to understand these huge conceptual, way out there concepts with very simplistic, accessible language. But when it comes down to creating all the detail or building the map for it, that's really not my forte. I'm a big picture thinker. That's where I'm really best equipped to guide or to lead. So when I think about the minutia of things or the detail, it gets fuzzy for me. So being able to describe everything sometimes isn't easy when it gets to the finite parts of it. But for me, letting go of an outcome, it made more sense to me. Okay, if I don't try to control the outcome, then I'm letting go. And in that letting go, I'm allowing the universe to bring me what's meant for me without judging how, when, and what, and where. So, okay, I got that. That's easy. And yes, of course, I have to still catch myself. But when I was catching myself, I would beat myself up a little bit and remind myself to be patient. And yes, there's definitely validity in that. But what's different now is this new foundation in my body, this different energy, this water off a duck's back energy is this this new sense of freedom, and this is how I'm characterizing freedom, is now that I have this trust in the foundational aspects of my life here on earth, the purpose of my visit, the reason I'm an alien in this human body, the reason the purpose of being here to learn and evolve myself, the purpose of coming together with this counterpart eventually and then helping the earth evolve. I got all that. That's this new energy is the embodiment of that. And I had to go through all of that awareness, that the exercises in awareness, this awakening that has been going on for a year and a half now, by the way, in order for this new energetic frequency to inhabit this body. I can't feel light in a heavy body. So in the three-dimensional energy that I used to embody, these types of this method of thinking is not supported. It's not possible. And we might get flashes of it, and this is a flashes of awareness that we get when we're in our deep three-dimensional selves. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a stage in our evolution. So the me who I was when I was with my ex-husband, deeply embedded in this old energetic um, frequency, is a different version of myself. I've said this before. She is a different, less evolved version of me. So when I look back at her, I don't do it in shame. I do it in with a sense of pride and gratitude, because her um what she sacrificed grew me. It allowed me to evolve. So her sacrifice is my victory. So she is a version of me existing on this plane of the universe, this dimension, who supplied me with the foundational heavy lifting. She did all the dirty work so I could come to this new plateau and look back with absolute gratitude. So, in my old energetic body, in that my old version of Gina, I wasn't able to think this way. Even though conceptually I understood there was so much more. Now that I'm in this energy, I'm getting this privilege of this access. And what I'm getting to is this new energy, this frequency in my body that supports these higher thought forms, or these abilities, this ability to rise above the old version of me, is that this foundation is built of faith and of trust. Because I had to remember, I had to let go of everything else. I had to drop my ego. I had to drop my facade. I had to drop anything I felt or thought about myself. I had to completely let it obliterate in order for it to be rebuilt in this new energetic frequency. That's what awakening is. It is shedding our old skin, like molting off an old skin, like a snake or like a butterfly. I think more accurately, is we molt off that skin, we break that shell, that old energy, it falls away, and we feel naked and afraid, trust me. But then we realize very quickly that we are in the hands, the cradle of the universe. We are held by the universe, because now the frequency of the universe can get through this. That hard shell is gone. It gets through to us, and it allows us to start to trust. And I've talked about this. I mean, for the last, 9, 10 months, I've been doing this podcast. I've talked about this process. This podcast, this is so amazing, is a chronicle of my evolution. It's a chronicle of my elevation. I mean, that's what this is. I mean, it's funny because I had no idea. And I ruminated about this in the last episode, about the thread that's going through all of these episodes, and how it's turning into this tapestry of my life experience. And we are all the same. So, my life is reflected in all of those around me, and vice versa. So, and I think it's more evidence that, we are just all the same energetic beings, and we all are wired the same way. All have the same foundational qualities, the same energy. We're all matter and wave. It's just a matter of the expression of that wave. The matter is an expression of the wave. So the frequency determines the matter, or the form, and the density of the form. And I'm no physicist, my God, but I understand this. Wave, the energy, vibrates at a frequency that creates the form, or the matter. And that's what we're all a manifestation of, is vibrating frequency. So when you take away the masks and the body and the the ego and the mind and all of the things that shutter us from our true selves. And we look at each other bare naked, bodiless. We are all just energy. And I think when you can grasp that, it goes a long way in allowing us, or me, I can only speak of myself, to let go of everything else. So letting go of an outcome, which is one of the last things for me on this journey, because I'm always like, well, I know what's going to happen. I've been given this gift of knowing what my future is, basically. I know I'm going to be with a counterpart. I know I have an Earth's mission here that is not completed yet. I'm to help this Earth evolve. I'm staying on this Earth as an energetic being who has gone through my human school. And the purpose of this energetic cleansing is to allow me to stay where otherwise I would probably have chosen to go. And this is where a lot of souls choose to go. I've learned my lessons. I don't need to be here anymore. This earth school is over, at least for now. I may come back again. I may not. I may go to a different planetary system to incarnate into a different form. I may stay formless and be a spirit guide to a loved one or a soul family member. I have all these choices as a soul, as an energetic being. But the more I evolve, the more the less I have to do, the less I need to do to evolve. You know what I'm saying? It becomes like an innate part of what we are. So for me as a light worker, I don't know why that term bothers me. But as a person or a soul meant to stay, I have to go through this energetic upgrade, this sometimes violent and disruptive energetic upgrade in order to stay in the earth plane and not behave as I was when I was learning. So the need for the three-dimensional frequency is no longer. If I were to continue to learn and evolve myself, I would have remained, for the most part, in that three-dimensional energy. But since my purpose is to evolve and to stay and not evolve and to leave, which is where most souls exit the planet, exit this incarnation, I need to go through this upgrade so I can stay. And it's funny how amazing this microphone is because I've never verbalized that before. It didn't really come into my awareness as a thought until just now, that I'm meant to upgrade or be upgraded and to report on all of these symptoms and this process and to really want to feel it. And I realized this morning, I want to feel everything that's happening. I don't want to wish it away. I don't want to devalue it because it's uncomfortable. I want to um, revel in it. I want to cherish it. I want to feel it. I'm meant to feel everything. And in this new core, this new alien core, this new frequency of my energy, this trust and this faith allows me now, and this is so interesting, I can weather these storms. I don't have to hide from them anymore. I can stand up with my eyes wide open, and now I trust in this incredible energetic level that I can now weather them. I no longer have to cringe or hide or convince myself that I'm going to be okay. I'm meant to go through this. So when I tell myself, gee, you're going to be fine, just get through it, that's great. But I'm not really honoring what's happening to me, which is what I really want to do. I want to immerse myself in this incredibly new alien terrain. I mean, I am walking a path that I've never walked before. And I don't know anyone else who has. And I'm sure there are many, many more. But what I'm going through is so incredibly unique. I don't want to wish it away. And I think this is part of what I'm meant to obviously because and this is another thing I've come to terms with. If I'm thinking and feeling it, it's valid. So when I'm, going through things that don't seem to make sense to me anymore, like if I worry about money, and I tell myself, Gina, you don't have to worry about money anymore. The universe will provide. It's okay. It's okay. I'm always talking myself out of worry. And then I'm thinking to myself this morning, I need to feel everything. I need to allow it to be. Because if I don't allow it to be, I'm not really here, am I? I'm somewhere else. I am facilitating an agenda to get through it. And I do this with meditation too. I think a lot of us do. And I heard this listening to Alan Watts, who I had no understanding of before. And of course, he popped up on my video channel in the top row. I felt drawn to listen to it. And my God, there's another voice that I resonate with, Alan Watts, that I had no understanding of who he was before. I did not seek him out. This is another example of when I get to a part of my learning or my evolution where I'm ready for new understanding of something more oblique, less tangible, even less tangible. Oh my God. This whole world is intangible. But I hear something that resonates is that when we meditate, we have an agenda. Because when we meditate, we want to be a better human. We want to be more efficient. We want to be able to quiet our minds. We want to get better at something. And this is all well and good. But when we go into meditation with that agenda, we're not present. We are attempting to facilitate a future state of being. So our presence is not it's not appreciated. It's not engaged. And I believe that I'm meant to engage with all of this. So when I have a fragmented thought, and again, I don't look the demons in the eye. I still stand by that because this has gotten pretty furious at moments. But now I believe that no matter what however I would have reacted, I would have been fine because if I would allowed it to just be, I would have gotten to the other end of it. I didn't sell my truck. I almost did. And it was before I had this understanding that I did not sell my truck. I didn't get a job in a furious or a fearful state. Although I did attempt to start looking into it, I got through that before I had the understanding or the realization of what was happening. I would have gotten through all of it because in this new frequency, I'm now wired to get through it. I'm now made of the material that ducks' feathers are coated with. You know what I'm saying? So by me avoiding feeling or thinking what I'm thinking or feeling, I'm really discounting my presence. I'm not allowing myself to be right here. Not only am I trying to control outcomes, which of course we don't realize that we're doing that. But when we try to control an outcome, we are not allowing the universe to connect with us on the frequency that we need to be in order to receive. Damn it. Mother. This is so amazing. It is so mind-blowing. So when I woke up this morning after this dream about my ex-husband where I normally would have said, "Yeah, just Jesus, what the hell? Why?" And went about my day not really understanding it, not accepting it, and just knowing I'd get through it. It's another form of control. It's another form of not allowing what's meant for me to come to me. It is another form of trying to control an outcome. And I think I'm going to entitle this podcast Freedom because I talked about myself as a white Frisian running through an open field, completely free with, yes, the remnants of the corral that I used to be stuck in. That's my old life where I didn't feel free, although I've always had the capacity to be free. It's my own mind, my own three-dimensional um, state of being that wouldn't allow me to get where I am now, and it's not meant to. You can't awaken during stasis, right? If you awaken during stasis, then you either drown in the gel that they fill your body with. I've watched a lot of sci-fi movies. Or you awaken on a ship where everyone else is asleep for another 90 years, which is another sci-fi movie that I saw. And you're alone. You're not meant to awaken until you're meant to awaken. So beating myself up about being stuck in that corral where I could have walked to the gate and opened it myself, makes no sense. And we spend so much time judging ourselves. And this is what I mean. I was judging myself for for thinking about my ex-husband. Okay, what if I'm meant to think about him? I was told this, that you're going to dream about him. I'm not through this phase yet. So why am I judging it? I've been going through this kind of weird, concentrated energetic phase or transmutation since the beginning of February. Today is the 7th of March. So this is not a minute. I mean, this is more than a month now. But look at my circumstances. I am retired from my business for 9 months now. I don't have a job to go to. What if I had to work? I am in my home that I really didn't believe in my three-dimensional energy that I was going to be able to keep. But I got to keep it. I didn't think I was going to be able to keep my vehicle. This is how desperate things got during my divorce. But I got to keep it. So when I look around at my life now and I see that I'm in a comfortable home, I have a reliable vehicle. I am retired. I can sleep whenever I want. I can play when I want. I can be mad or angry or sad or feel anything I want without anyone else externally to me judging me. The only judge and jury is me. So when I look at my situation, how can I doubt for a moment that this time in my life was not perfectly suited and arranged? Let me say that again. Was not part of the divine plan for me to go through this incredible awakening. And I really don't have to call it an awakening anymore. It's this cleansing of the fragments, of the remnants of this old three-dimensional energy. When I look back at everything that I've gone through, and I see the purpose of all that I went through, and I said this before, the article Soulmate that I wrote talks about this in detail. Every painful twist and turn, every relationship, every lesson that I learned brought me to this time in my life where I was to let go and surrender. And during that initial surrender, the universe was absolutely taking care of me. I was incoherent. I was lost to myself and to everything else. All I could do was rest. And while I was resting, I got to keep my house. I got to keep my vehicle. I thought I was going to lose everything and have to live with a sibling. I mean, that's how desperate things got. But the universe said, "No, G, that's not where you're meant to be. Don't worry, we got you." And I look around my life and I see exactly where I am and why. I don't have to worry about anything right now. My job is to go through this energetic transmutation. So whenever this is done, if it ever will be, and I've let go of that too, I can go or be or see or do whatever I'm meant to do next. Maybe that's when the counterpart comes into my life. I don't know. Maybe that's when the opportunity that's supposed to take me on a trajectory of my career will come. I don't know. But I do have some experience with this. I do have some experience with this. And I was laughing about this the other day, thinking about, well, it might be another year before I meet this new person and I maybe have a job that is an expression of my work that I'm doing now, this podcast and my writing. Maybe my book will get published. All these things could happen, right? The universe has plans for me. I don't know specifically what. All I know is that I will always be abundant. And it's really up to us to decide what abundance is. And of course, I'm abundant. I have a healthy, beautiful family. I have a healthy, beautiful body. I am this enriched individual. I'm doing my soul's work. I have a beautiful, comfortable home, blah, blah, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's all right here. I am missing nothing, but it's up to me to see that. Abundance attracts abundance. If I'm always looking for something ahead, then I'm not engaging in the now. And yes, I have a very thick head. And yes, it took a while for this to get in, but it did get in, right? So I'm thinking about all these things that are coming in my future, and I have no idea really what they are. I have an idea about my counterpart. I've seen his picture. I know who he is, but I know innately I'm not meant to know anything else. So I have all this information. So of course your mind wants to go, well, here's the future that's coming. Well, here, might do this and let's try to control this. And we can't help ourselves. But what I do have experience with is soulmates coming into my life. So I have an idea of maybe a time frame, although it's ridiculous to even think about it because time is irrelevant in the universal or in any other realm besides ours. Honestly, I don't know if even other planets or planet planes, I can't call them earth planes, whatever planet it is, have time as part of their dynamic. I don't know. But the universe is timeless. There's no time. So I may think something is soon and the universe might say, yeah, it's coming soon, but it might be, 10 years from now. I don't know. But I do have some experience with soulmates coming into my life. When my first husband and I split, it was about 3 years before I met my second husband, my second ex-husband, the my last husband. And this was about 3 years. And it's funny that when I met my ex-husband, my last ex-husband, my karmic soulmate, and we talked about our lives, he was married for just about the same amount of time that I was to his first wife. They broke up almost exactly the same time that I broke up with my first ex-husband, and he was single for the most part the exact same amount of time that I was, right about 3 years. So it's funny. I was laughing so hard about this. I'm thinking, well, I have some experience with this. So there's a possibility I'm almost 2 years into this. Maybe in about a year, I will meet this counterpart. I have no idea. All I know is I do have experience with this, and it took about 3 years. So I don't know, maybe 3 years, maybe 5. I have no idea. Maybe it's tomorrow. I have no idea. So I have to let go of anything, really everything, in order to not be completely consumed by it. But it doesn't mean that it isn't a part of me. So when I'm beating myself up about it and just lightly about thinking about him, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this the man's energy is in my body. I have a 5-dimensional relationship with him. I've talked about this. And this last card in the tarot reading basically said, don't wait, just go live your life. When he's ready, he'll come. And it said in the reading about a year. And that's it doesn't really happen that often where time frames are discussed. And if they are, it's always with the, you know, keep in mind the universe is a universe. And I could say tomorrow it could be a year. And it just resonated with me. And I'll use that word as much as I can because it is so incredibly important. When something resonates with me, it is connecting to an energy in my body. It are two like things or beings, two matching things coming together, two puzzle pieces that come together to form a picture. They resonate together. Only the two of them fit. They don't fit with any other pieces. So when I resonate with something that strongly, it's true. So of course it put it in my mind it's going to be a year. Well, I still don't know that. But I'm thinking, okay, a year. Well, in a year, am I going to have enough money to get to a year? I don't know. Am I going to have to get a job? And I start to beat myself up about it. It's so dumb what we do. It's not dumb. It is just who we are. But it happens for a moment or two. And I used to tell myself, gee, just be patient. And now it's, gee, don't worry about it. Feel it. It is what it is. And if that feeling causes an action, then that's what you were meant to do. Avoiding it is exactly what I did when I was the 3D me. You know what I mean? We don't want to let it in because if we let it in, then we have to identify with it. If we identify with it, we have to be accountable for it. And that's the difference now with this new energy is I can weather these storms. And I think of them as lightning storms, how they come in strikes. But most of the rest of the time, it's pretty calm. It may rain, it may be cloudy, but for the most part, there's no turbulence. Only when the lightning comes and the thunder. And I just have to remember I no longer need to hide from the storms of life. And these are mostly my own thoughts. I can stand tall with my eyes wide open and weather them without judging. And when I judge, I attempt to control because I want to control how I'm feeling or thinking. And this is a really finite aspect of freedom that I really didn't connect with until this morning. Freedom is not just physical freedom, it is freedom from our own mentality, from our own prison in our heads, from our thought patterns, from our conditioning. And this goes way back to the first podcast I did, or the second maybe, about, we are all products of our conditioning. We see through the lens our lives, we see through the lens that we created through who we think we are, when it really has no bearing on who we actually are. But we're conditioned to see life in a certain way. Therefore, we don't perceive reality as it is. We perceive reality as we think it is. Everything is a perception. The way I see my ex-husband is a perception. I could very easily see him as a villain and a bad, evil person. And I could internalize that and then reflect that in my life. I don't trust people. If you are mysterious, you are evil. If you don't know yourself, you're dead to me. I mean, come on. Who would I be in that energy, in that three-dimensional conditioned energy? And it's not our fault. This is just the way we are wired. And we're wired that way absolutely with a purpose. Because we're not meant to know ourselves until we're meant to know ourselves. So we can beat ourselves up all we want, but trusting that what I'm thinking and feeling is part of what I'm going through has really just given me a whole other level of faith, of 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 love for myself, because I don't have to judge my thoughts. I just have to recognize that I am not my thoughts, that I am this other being witnessing or observing and experiencing this life. So, why would I, for a moment, discount what I'm thinking or feeling? It's all information. It's part of this interactive experience that I'm having, this virtual reality adventure that I'm on. I mean, it's funny. I heard somebody, it might have been Alan Watts, characterize Earth as a spaceship, and that the universe is really what life is. And I kind of characterize my earthly visit as that, not exactly as a spaceship, but I'm here as a student in an environment where I can learn. These bodies provide the solitary experience, the sentient experience for us to experience each other as individuals so we can have relationships. And in those relationships, we can create adversity. And in that adversity, we learn. So, when I have two ex-husbands, look what I learned. When I have, the jobs that I've had, they've all given me the knowledge that I needed now. It's so interesting when you think of it from this really broad conceptual view. When you sit on top of all of it and look down on it, you can see all of the edges, all of the frays, all of the twists and turns, and you see the purpose of it all. And it's so interesting to come to this new realization where freedom is not just physical freedom. It's not just emotional freedom. Mental freedom is really the final landscape of that. Because our thoughts are such a prominent part of our humanity. And we're taught to either engage or completely disengage. And we learn through conditioning that disengaging is the safest route. So we judge ourselves and we beat ourselves up, or we don't allow ourselves to think, because thinking becomes a feeling and feeling becomes an emotion. Oh, Jesus, I got to live all that. Part of my purpose here is to feel everything. And it took me a while to really understand that. I mean, 58, oh my God, 59 years. I'm here to feel. That's what empathetic people do. So I talked about my energy type last episode, that I'm a projector energy. And again, it's our Jovian Archives. I put the link in the last episode description, but it's Jovian Archive is the name of the website that I use to create a free energy template of my of how my energy was designed for this incarnation. And it's all related to your birthday, your birth time, your birth location, which of course gives the information of the astrological placements during those times and before in those places. So I got this energetic map. I'm a projector energy. Okay, I get it. I'm empathetic. That's my biggest gift. Okay, it doesn't really feel like a gift. It really never has. But again, this is learning that we all have gifts, and if we don't value them or we fear them, it's like Thor not carrying his hammer because he's afraid it's too heavy without his hammer. And I know we all know that Thor's power doesn't come from his hammer, but it is his tool. So, what my point is if I discount my gifts, I'm not being who I'm meant to be on this trip, in this adventure. And again, we're not always meant to know that. So when we know it, we know it. But until we know it, we don't know it. So you can't get mad at a baby for not knowing algebra. I know that's kind of a weird way to put it, but to me that makes the most sense. The baby's still a baby. The brain is not formed yet. The mental brain, the physical brain. The intuitive brain is there and honed, sharpened like the most brilliant blade. But we're meant to come into this earth and to grow this human brain and this human body, to have this human experience to facilitate our evolution. So freedom is not just physical constraints dropped. It is not just the shedding of my, uh, of my shell, not just the molting of my skin, the three-dimensional energy, and the buildup or the integration, which is what I'm working on now. And I have to ask spirit, and I do it frequently, please help me integrate this energy. Because although it's characterized and it has been characterized to me as spontaneous awakening, the energy is spontaneous, but the integration takes a lot of time. And this is something I needed to hear, and I heard it offhandedly somewhere in a video I was watching when I wasn't focusing on this at all. Another synchronistic event, another gift from my soul family to help me cope, to help me understand that I am going through uncharted territory. I mean, I am Magellan here, but it doesn't mean I'm doing it alone. I have all of this support. And when I finally allowed myself to trust, and by trusting, I let go of the daily readings, which was my lifeline to my soul family, because they told me every day, you're pretty, you're strong, you're going to be okay, you're going to have a boyfriend. You know what I mean? They told me that every day. So finally, it got to the point where I trusted that and I let go of my need to hear it every day. And then this whole thing started to happen. And I'm not 100% sure, but my gut tells me yes, that this whole energetic cycle came because I let go of that lifeline. Another sign of trust, another commitment from me, the human bound spirit, to the universe that I'm ready for this next phase. So when I picture myself, that white Frisian running free in the wilderness, I have to understand that true freedom really is only possible when I allow it. When I come to the understanding that My thoughts and feelings are a part of this human experience. And if all I want to do is become my spiritual self, then why would I stay? What's the point? Part of this transmutation, or the purpose of this transmutation, is for me to stay and not to leave and go back into the ethereal plane and become whomever or whatever I decide based on my evolutionary cycle. I chose to stay as part of the mission that I wrote for myself probably lifetimes ago. And this counterpart, this person in my future, is part of that plan. So he will come. I don't know when. All I have to do is have faith. So I'm going through this transmutation to equip me to stay. So if that's true, then by giving up or trying to discount or devalue the humanity, my humanity, which is my brain, my my brain, my human navigation tool, and that's how I characterize the brain. And I know this probably isn't accurate on all levels, but for me, my brain navigates the body and all of my senses, my physical experience, the humanity, the human part of me, and my solar plexus or my intuition governs everything else, and overarch is the overarching governance of everything, including my mental brain. My brain becomes a tool, but it's still valid. And I have to understand that what she thinks and feels, what thoughts come into her mind, into the brain that go into my body as a feeling, are all valid and they're all a part of this. The only difference now is I don't have to fear them. They're not here to harm me. They're here to inform me. And I'm going through something completely alien, excuse the term, alien to this human. And I have no idea what to expect. I don't know if I'm going to feel better tomorrow. I started to say that I'm in this lethargic state. I slept 13 hours that day where I woke up feeling like I was filled with cement. I didn't get out of bed till 4 that afternoon. And ever since then, that was 8 days ago, I've been in this lethargy where I don't have much interest in anything in my life except for my grandbaby and my daughter, who are all I can think about. But my but I also remember this. I'm resonating with something I heard, and I don't remember where. It might have been in the list of symptoms that I posted a couple of episodes ago. That loss of interest and exhaustion are part of this. I didn't put the two together. I would characterize the exhaustion more as lethargy now, though, because my mind is very active. I'm very contemplative. I'm very aware. I still have some confusion and some incoherence, but I trust that it's part of what I'm going through, even though it's been more than a month now. And I don't know how long this is going to last. It's not up to me. So if I'm going through this transmutational phase and I'm having this realization with you that I'm going through this heavy kind of cleansing and upgrade in this kind of concentrated form because I'm meant to stay here. And I have to get rid of this old shell in order to do it. But this old shell does not contain my humanity. If all I wish to be is the blue flame, then I might as well go home. So when I disengage or attempt to judge or control my thoughts and feelings in this new energy, with this foundation, this cathedral of alien energy in my body, it doesn't make any sense anymore. Not now. I want to feel everything. I want to wake up in the morning and whatever it is, whether it's sadness, anger, um, melancholy for an old life, and these are all remnants. This is all part of the residue in my body, and I don't know when or if it'll ever go away. It's none of my business. I have no idea. It's like a master, fabricator is got a hold of my body. I'm completely under construction. It's not up to me what happens. And honestly, if I stick my finger in something that isn't dry yet, I'm screwing something up. And he's got to redo it. I got to wait for the next cycle. So my job right now is to allow everything that's happening, even though my brain says, I don't like that. Oh my God, this is freedom. This is freedom. I can't even, I want to go stand on my roof and scream it out, even though I don't know why I would do that, but this is what freedom means to me, is I no longer have to censor myself in order to feel healthy. I can allow all of these radio signals to come in and go because that's all they're doing is they're coming and going. This these are the storms of life. This is what our brain does. And no matter how elevated I get in this lifetime, no matter how high my frequency goes, that is part of my humanity. So without engaging with my humanity, I might as well just go home. And having this realization this morning, after having that personal dream with my ex-husband, that I'm like, ugh, was that? I just had to laugh at myself because I realized in a moment, I don't have to judge it. I don't even have to understand it. All I have to do is trust. And in this energy, that is the prominent aspect or characterization of my being. That is what all this was for, was to implement this structure, this frequency in my body that now allows my thoughts to what's the right word? It allows my thoughts to be what they are without affecting this foundation. It's like the cement is dry. I don't have to worry about bird droppings. My God. Or, you know what I mean? Anything disturbing that now. The cement is dry. So no matter what my brain wants to do, and I believe at this point, it's doing very important things. And again, if I try to get in the way of it and control it, control that outcome, my God, have an agenda where I have to feel comfortable. My brain has to feel comfortable with what's going on when my brain cannot conceive of what's going on. So sure, she's going to have some questions and she's going to have some confusion and even disorientation. I mean, okay, I think that should be expected. And now that I've kind of like come to this new place where accept this, I feel free. I don't know what I thought freedom was before, but this is free. And maybe there'll be another version of it yet for me to to be revealed to me. I don't know. But being free of my own thoughts, or being free of fear of my own thoughts, of being controlled by them, is just not a thing anymore. Let my ex-husband come into my dreams as much as he wants. It's probably his higher self trying to get my attention to let me know that he's still an option. I don't know. I love that man. I always will. But I told his higher self, he's in my past and I no longer want to go backwards. And I wish him nothing but clarity and peace in his life. That man did a thing for me that was immeasurable. He facilitated my spiritual awakening. I love him. I get emotional when I think about him because all I want to do is hold him. But that's not the way that's not going to work. I tried that for 25 years. But I know that now and I don't have to re-engage or go backwards. But I don't have to be afraid of it either. It doesn't mean anything. It just is whatever it is. And me allowing that to be is the freedom that I'm talking about. If I don't allow it, I don't know what it'll turn into. What if something that comes in as an odd, seemingly misplaced thought turns into an emotion that carries me to a new plateau? I don't know. So my desire to control an alien spacecraft with my mind in my hands, my human mind in my human hands, I finally understand why that doesn't work. So my ability, desire, my desire to let go of any outcome any where, what, when, and how, to let go of any thoughts or feelings that may feel displaced or old. It's not up to me. If I judge it, I am sticking my finger in wet paint, and it's got to be repainted. And I got to wait for the painter to come back, and he's not due for another month. I hope this makes as much sense to you as it as it does to me, and that it came out in a way that is coherent enough for somebody who wants to understand what I'm going through to get a glean of, because it's absolutely amazing. And this is a miraculous thing that I'm going through. How could I doubt anything that I've been told? How could I doubt my soul family and what's ahead for me? Look what I'm going through. This is amazing. So right now, reporting on current energy, I am feeling lethargic. I don't want to do a lot of the things that I did before, even though I didn't do too many things. And instead of worrying about that or forcing myself to do things I don't feel like doing, I'm not doing them. I'm not engaging in things, even though things that I love, that I just don't feel like doing, because I'm honoring what's going on with me. And this is what I have the time and the space to do. And I'm so friggin' grateful. I tell the universe and my soul family every day, thank you for setting me up in this environment on earth where I can heal, evolve, grow, and revel in what's going on with me without worrying that I'm doing something wrong or something went wrong. Everything that happens is meant to be. Just because my brain doesn't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. And my brain is getting much, much better. It is. And even this morning, I had just a moment or two where I'm like, "Ugh." But then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, remember. And then I had the revelation. Oh, crap. It's amazing, the access to this wisdom that is coming into my body. And I'm not claiming it as my own. I can't at this point. But this open vessel, this conduit between the universe and the earth, this body is learning its purpose. And my physical body and all of my non-physical bodies, the ethereal, the causal, and I can't remember the rest, and my heart and my brain are finally all aligning. And this is what my soul is meant for at this time in this incarnation. So me judging it is me judging Picasso while he's painting. It's ridiculous. So again, forgive me if there was any incoherence on your end, because I'm in a very strange energy. I feel this incredible centeredness in my body. I think I described it before. Even under the little bit of chaos that's still inside of me, I feel this stillness, this new foundational frequency, this quality. It's amazing. So I hope it came across okay, and I appreciate it if you listened to the whole thing, and that if you're on this journey with me, I am so grateful to you, because I am chronicling my evolution, and this is just amazing to me. And I'm so grateful for this microphone and this platform, because I don't know how I would do this otherwise. I couldn't sit and write this, not this way. So I'm so grateful for these two mediums to be able to do the soul's work. And this body of work that is emerging from it is just incredible. And I'm so grateful to you, the listener, for taking this journey with me, and for your time and for your attention and your patience. So I would love to hear from anyone. I'm on YouTube. Postcards from a Soul, or at Postcards from a Soul. There's a description area and comment area there. On Buzzsprout, it's Postcards from a Soul is my website there. That's my podcast platform. I would love to hear any feedback or comments. And I'm just so grateful to you and for you. And thank you so much for helping me to walk this path and watch it light up with each step that I take. Thank you again. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.